truly listen, something wonderful could truly happen. And why not? And why not? So join me now in setting up that energy, in setting up that readiness to receive. And then in the receiving, of course, let it go out and serve whatever it is we receive. So we center ourselves here by taking a conscious, connected breath, and we do that many times throughout the day, pulling ourselves back into a centered, aligned state of being so we can handle whatever it is that is before us. Sometimes we do it better than others, but with continuous practice, we get very expert in that ability. So breathe with me now and know that what we're breathing is the breath of life itself. It's the breath of spirit. It's the creative power of life that is everywhere present. And I have the privilege of knowing that I'm breathing it in and breathing it out. And what I know, anyone can know. And so this is what I'm knowing for each and every one of us, all sentient beings, all of life, that there is a divine design, and that divine design shows up in every single person. The blueprints are there, easily maneuverable, easy to understand. And indeed, when we do come to those blueprints with that understanding and that grace and ease, it simply delights us as we see what is before us. And it's a plan for each and every one of us to inherit the kingdom of higher conscious awareness. And through imbibing that and allowing ourselves to be impressed by that, every good thing is available to us. Every good thing is available to us. This is the awe, this is the wonder of what it is to be a conscious spiritual being. To know that we are indeed, all of us, spiritual beings, first and foremostly, and secondly, having a human experience. That's the secondary aspect of our lives and living, the humanity of ourselves, which will last for, just in eternity. It won't be even a second of time. And then we'll be our spiritual being again, morphing into something even more wonderful to experience what it is to be an evolving spiritual being. And that's the life that you and I can live, or we can get bogged down and mired by the busyness of the embodiment and so distracted by our humanity that we never even wake up and remember that we are human beings, yes, but foremostly we are spiritual beings. And within spirit, every good thing is possible. Every good thing is possible within spirit when I'm closely aligned in that realization that the only thing the Creator had to create from was itself. So consequently, I'm created out of the very essence of the creative force of being itself. I have the very same nature. I am of that substance, I am of that likeness, and I'm likened unto the Creator through that substance, because I am. The infinite being's divine idea that became its own self in form. And that is so awesome, it's always beyond me. I can never fully grasp it, but every now and again I get a little glimmer. And it's so awesome that there are no words to describe that. Because how could that be so when I am so challenged in so many ways and feel so incompetent in so many ways and feel so unable in so many ways? it makes no sense. And it doesn't when I bring my rational human mind to bear on it. The spiritual understanding and awareness comes through spiritual mind. And I can open a portal for that to move through me and fill me and inspire and inform me so that I can live from that sense, think from that sense, feel from that sense, be in that sense, and act from that sense of being, of the understanding that I'm here simply to express the divine essence itself in the way I think, feel, move, live, have my being. And I can do that once I'm aligned and consciously connected with the source of my being, and I am consciously aware that I am its image and its likeness of its nature, and I am that in my spiritual beingness. That's how I image and likeness my Creator, in my spiritual and through my spiritual beingness. It's a blessing. To even be aware of this much is such a gift. But being aware is the first step. Now, how to use that awareness is the challenge as a human being. And I am knowing that each and every person on this plane and all of life is open to the challenge and can move into it with grace and ease, with life and light, in peace and joy, in beauty and power, in loving relationship with all, so that a world that honors all life in all of its aspects appears, and we can live in it joyously, safely, securely, happily, because all aspects are contributing to this awareness and safeguarding that divine design that came into incipiency. And you and I and every person on the planet have access to, and indeed the ability to enter in and enjoy. This is the truth. This is the only truth. And that is why none of the rest in the outer world makes much sense, if any. The truth is that I should have life and have it in abundance, that my joy may be complete and I may know the peace that passes understanding. That's the truth. It's the truth, once it is absorbed, sets us free to be all that we are in truth. So what I know for myself in this moment now, I know for every person on this plane, and I know it for every living thing, God and only God, life and only life, light and only light, love and only love, throughout all of creation. So blessing it all and calling it all by its first name, good and very good, I send forth what I know out into the cosmos and beyond. And I know it is already responding to, and spirit is already assisting the evolutionary process of that truth unfolding in each and every one and in all aspects of life. This is what I believe. This is what I'm always open to knowing. And in faith and gratitude I say, and so it is. And so indeed it is. So, dear hearts, welcome. Welcome into this moment of peaceful quietness, into listening, into open receptivity, into knowing that this is not just a nice thing to do for a little while, but there's something wonderful in this for me, and it could happen through me if I stay with it, if I stay with that open receptivity, if I'm ready to receive, if I keep the portal open so that illumination can occur. And whatever I need to know, I hear. Whatever I need to feel, I feel. And whatever I'm called to do, I'm eager to. Isn't that wonderful? Not, of course, anything as wonderful as you are, believe it or not. And I know some of us today may be feeling not so hotsy-totsy. Some of us today even may have cried ourselves to sleep last night because of the pressure that is being felt, because of the circumstances in life, because of the challenges that seem so big and daunting. These are the very people that are meant to hear what we're supposed to hear today. Because I always leave it, there was a show called Leave It to Beaver. I was not familiar with it because I didn't grow up here. But we say leave it to Spirit. Just leave it to Spirit. Let Spirit do the hand. You see, Spirit is your handler and my handler. If you allow Spirit to be that, Spirit will handle it. Spirit will handle it. Spirit will handle it. Ought to be the repetition throughout the day for you and for me. Spirit will handle it. But not just as if we're uttering magical words or if we're not present to the words we're saying, but to say them meaningfully and know that somehow, I don't know how, but Spirit will handle it. And Spirit is not separate from you, and Spirit is not separate from me. It's Spirit from within us that handles it. It's the higher aspect of our being, the wider aspect of our being, the completely encompassing aspect of our being we're talking about. In other words, we're talking about ourselves. If you like, although in spirit there is no future, but for human beings there is that concept. We're talking like ourselves in the future, as human beings think, when I'm more evolved, when I'm more realized. If that helps you to understand that even though your circumstances are dreadful at the moment and you feel like I don't know what at the moment, nevertheless, if you and I can hand it over, give it up, surrender it to Spirit to handle it, not worrying about how Spirit is going to handle it, because you and I are so used to saying, well, that can't happen unless. That doesn't seem possible. None of that. Just Spirit will handle it. And know that that's your great, deeper, inner truth that you're getting out of the way to allow to handle this situation, or this mood, or this ailment, or this difficult situation, or this relationship. And having said that, it doesn't mean that I can say, well, Spirit will handle this and then go about my business as usual. That is being asleep most of the time, being careless most of the time in my handling of myself and everyone else and my affairs. No, it means you stay awake, you stay alert, and you do whatever it is you're prompted to do to help in the process, no matter how strange it might seem at times. If you're prompted to do it and it's not any harm, it's not doing anybody any harm, you go ahead and you do it. It's called a divine impulse, and it's called a divine intuitive sense, and you move upon it. But you have a real trust and a real confidence. It's like, somebody in your life, whether it be a spouse or whether it be a close friend, or whether it be somebody that's just appeared that can do something for you, and you have the trust in them and the confidence in them, and well, they're going off to do that. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to micromanage it. I know they always come through and they'll do it. That kind of feeling around Spirit will handle it. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's like you getting very comfortable with your spiritual aspect as much as you would be with a very close confidant, with a very close friend, with somebody you totally and absolutely trust. You can have those conversations if you like. You know, why not? Anything that keeps you charged in the energy of trust and confidence in your life and in yourself and in your own spiritual unfoldment and your own creative process, anything. You know, say whatever it is you're going to call this thing called life, call God, call that infinite beingness, that awesome infinite intelligence. Whatever you want to call it, call it. I have a friend who always calls the infinite the great self. So she'll say, and now great self, here's the situation. You're the senior partner. I'm going to hand it over to you and trust that you know exactly how this should turn out and will turn out and the way to make it happen. And in the meantime, as the junior partner, I'm here listening to anything that I might do to assist this happening. You can talk like that to the one. However is comfortable for you, whatever makes you feel that sense of security, whatever makes you feel good and trusting and confident, you see? But it's not going to happen overnight if all the time we've lived in fear and we are thinking of the great self or the one or the great I am, as it's called by many people in different spiritual schools of thinking. If you're not going to be able to see it, trust it insofar as you can see it as being near you or part of you or actually moving through you, the more separate you feel from it, the harder it is. And you've never been separate from your source. You are part of that source. You are its humanity, itself in human form. And so there's a way to work back into that awareness, and it's called relationship, and growing a relationship, and having a relationship with our source. So, you know, it's always going to be a challenge for you and for me to think the right thoughts, feel the right feelings, and do the right thing. Because we've been habituated into the sense of ourselves as not enough, the sense of ourselves as missing something, the sense of ourselves as lacking in some way, not measuring up in some way, not being good enough or better enough for whatever. Why is that? Because we're always measuring ourselves against other people. We measure ourselves against others. Never those who are less fortunate than we are, as we think, but always against those we think are better off than we are, better than we are in some way. And that's a terrible, terrible usurpation of our energy and power. And all that does is keep us small and keep us closed in and keep us suspect and keep us envious and keep us jealous and keep us aggravated and keep us bordering, if not into, hoping other people get their comeuppance in some way. And it's not a conscious thing, it's an unconscious thing. But that's what depletes us more of our remembrance and our ability to remember. The better part of ourselves, the only truth of ourselves, the real aspect of ourselves, and other people too. So it's all about relationship. It truly is. So if you and I just begin with 5 minutes a day, if we're not used to this, of just being quiet and still and listening and following the breath, Just breathing and listening, breathing and listening, breathing and listening, that's all. And it may not appear to you to be useful in any way, but if you keep at it, and if you keep doing it, you will find the treasures buried in the silence, in the listening. And you'll be keen and eager eventually to get to the moment when you can be quiet, be still, and listen, so that you can go excavating for more treasure. The treasure of your own great good self. That's how it happens. It happens one quiet moment at a time, one conscious breath at a time, one engaged moment at a time. That's how it happens. That's how consciousness is. To get the benefit of consciousness, we have to allow ourselves to become consciously conscious. Because most of the time, we're going around unconsciously conscious, even when we're awake or on overdrive. We're not in charge of what's going on in our mind when we're not consciously conscious. Because then the whole world can have its way with us. The world's energy can come in and flow through our thoughts and flow through our feelings and churn us up like nobody's business. Because you and I are not present. We're not paying attention. We're not monitoring our minds. More than that, we are not directing our minds. We are not deciding consciously on the content that goes into and moves through our minds. And as the mind goes, so goes the feeling. And as the feeling and the mind goes, so goes our attitude. And as our attitude goes, so goes the kind of life we're going to experience in any given day. Because what I'm bringing to it comes straight back at me. And if my attitude is crooked or skewed or upside down, it's going to come right back at me if that's what I'm bringing. I can guarantee you, you and I, we're not put on this plane to bring that kind of stuff to place on the table of life. No. You and I came here to place the gifts that we are and have on the table of life, so that life can be enriched and blessed. Not weighed down, not muddied, not lessened in its beauty and in its goodness and in its grace. That's why you and I are here, to make the difference. Make the difference. Now, I know, because of the beautiful humanity of ourselves, and humanity is very beautiful too, once it is understood and works in alignment with the spiritual essence of our being. Nothing more awesomely stunning than an aligned spiritual being in human form. Nothing more stunning and awesome than that. And when we come across a person like that, their light is pervasive, and they issue that sense and sensibility of okayness within us, safety within us, goodness within us. Their energy awakens that power in you that may be asleep, in me that may be asleep. And we feel good to be in their presence, and we love to be in their presence. And when they come into a room, the room lightens up. Energy changes. When they leave the room, that lingers for a while. But if we don't understand that all of that is within ourselves, the energy will start depleting itself in the room. And things will go back to being skew-if again, if that's what it was in the beginning. So the power of a good life, of a happy life, a whole life, a completed life, is yours, is mine, because all power is given to us. All power is given to us. Nothing less than all power. And so that is why you and I tune into programs like this. That is why you and I turn up at spiritual groups. That is why we have that sense and sensibility to be able to recognize a live spiritual energy when we're in its presence. We know, we understand. And I'm knowing that anybody who comes to a center like this or participates in a center like this is already opening up to that understanding and that awareness that I'd like to be in touch with the moreness of my life, the greatness of my life, the truth of my life, the empowerment of my life. It's calling me, and I want to be able to be present to it and create a space for it in me so that I can start living from that kind of energy, living in that kind of energy, thinking into that kind of energy, feeling into that kind of energy, doing in that kind of energy, and showing up simply being that kind of energy as much as I can to begin with. And with that steady endeavor, with that steady focus, with that steady awareness, even though we may slip off the path, we'll get right back up again and realize we've made a mistake and pay attention to the mistake we have made, but still, with courage and grace, move ahead on the path of that sovereignty that is yours and that is mine. And sovereignty does not mean controlling everything and everyone. Sovereignty means I have the ability to be anywhere, in any situation, and remain poised, remain centered, remain unruffled and unperturbed. That's masterful. That's masterhood. And that is possible for you, no matter what state you're in right now, and is possible for me. But until you and I can believe it's possible, it's not going to happen. And the first step is to be open to believing this is possible, that I could live a poised, whole, complete life right here and right now on this plane, no matter what. And it doesn't matter what's been behind me or how I've been until this very minute now. Because I'm a sovereign being, I can change my mind about who I am and where I've been and what my reputation is. I can change all of that. There have been stories of unbelievable things happening, like someone on death row getting out of prison. Why? Because they found themselves. They came to themselves like the prodigal son. And when you do, and you enter into that kind of alignment, well, things that cannot be explained according to the, cold plateau of logic on the human spectrum happen. We call them miracles. But really, they're simply only the outcome of the alignment of the individualized expression of the one infinite intelligent beingness. In other words, as the metaphysicians would say, you become the spiritual man or the spiritual woman, where you've reached complete alignment with the human and the divine, to the point where you couldn't differentiate between one beginning and one ending. You're just one big, beautiful light energy. Jesus taught us that because that's what he became. He was the example. No one before or since has achieved what he has. And of course, in his simplicity, he said, well, you know, you can do that too. You really can. But then it's up to you. There's no forcing this. It cannot be forced. Nor can it be struggled for, strained for, fought for. It's something that happens spontaneously within the individual when the time is ripe, in the ripeness of time. And that happens through what? Strongly, potently, and powerfully trusting in the greater aspect of your being, in the best aspect of your being in human terms, by being your best self. And it begins like this. The nucleus forms, and then it starts its motion right back into the center to which it is attached and it belongs. And that's evolution. It's like the Nautilus. You go into the center of it. It's how you come back to spirit. So isn't it wonderful? There is so much for us that we can know because it's already within us. The knowledge is within us. And we can know all of it, but not without desire, not without interest, not without curiosity, not without doing whatever it is it takes, showing up wherever I need to be in order for me or you to open that portal and release all of that beauty and grace and infinite beingness, and to walk this plane in serenity. Isn't that wonderful? And not anything like as wonderful as you are. So, here we are at the end of our little sharing together, and your presence has been greatly appreciated. And we are going to, have our little celebration now, as we always do when we gather. Because we understand that spirit is the givingness of life unto itself, we always have a little ritual of symbolically giving of ourselves through our gifts, whatever our gifts happen to be. Whether it's a gift of service, whether it's a gift of talent, whether it's a gift of financial help, whether it's a gift of just being an energy that can listen or can help out in any way. But we're always part of the givingness of life unto itself. And as you know, we couldn't do what we have to do here on planet Earth because money is a currency here, and it's an important currency here. And we need money in order to be able to do great good things in our world, and especially for those who are not yet able to do that for themselves. So we take our wonderful gift, and we bless our wonderful gift, and we know that it goes out there with only good intention in mind, and only the desire that the gift may help to mend and fix and heal and sustain and maintain life as life is supposed to be, and to do good and only good. So yes, I rejoice that I have this to give, and I give my gift willingly with great gratitude and thanksgiving, knowing it does go forth to do good. And so it is. And my dear ones, until we meet again, know that right where you are, God is. And where God is, all good is, and it's for you to embrace. So lift up your hearts, lift up your spirit, lift up your life, and know the best is yet to be, because you and I are always becoming more and more and more of our great good selves. We are here for you. If we can help you in any way, let us know, because we need to know how we can help. And thank you for the good that you bring to our world, and especially the good you know nothing about. The good thoughts, the good feelings, the good deeds. Just your own great goodness being in the world makes a huge difference. So thank you for all of that. And very particularly, thank you for supporting the legacy of our wonderful work here in Redondo Beach, approaching, 75 years now, soon. And thanks to all the community that has gone before us and is here today, ensuring that we will be the community that will keep safe the legacy for the next community and the next community and the next community. So know that you are strong, you are capable, you are able, no matter what the circumstances may be you find yourself in at the moment. Keep up your spirit. It's like saying keep your chin up. And when we say to people keep your chin up, we're meaning keep your energy high, keep yourself up. Don't let yourself fall down into despair, despondency, depression, because it's harder to come up from that. You can, it's just harder. So know that you're loved and know that you're cherished. Know that you belong and know that you have a special, special place here and a special, special gift to bring. So take care of yourself, and please, please help to put smiles on other faces. How beautiful a thing is that? That's a gift. But you'll only do that by keeping one on your own good countenance. So stay in touch, stay tuned in, and remember, we have a class going on Thursday night. It is the supreme opportunity to dig ourselves deeply into the fundamental principles of science of mind and spirit. That evolves us greatly. And then Tea and Inspiration is a wonderful light time on Monday. That is the opportunity. Everybody takes it in turn to bring something of it that's going to inspire the group. So they'll read from a book, or they'll share a poem, or whatever that is, but most of it goes on that, on the spiritual aspect of ourselves. And it's always good to be together and see each other's faces. There are many other things going on too. There's the Wednesday morning, of course, book study group, and there are the prayer circles going on too. And so just keep connected, stay engaged, please do. We'd love to have your company and your energy. And again, I will love you and I will leave you the same way the children always do. So know you're loved and cherished, because you are.